I said he couldn't do better, now he proved me wrong. So I messed up big time, and now I'm paying for it. I don't even know why I'm writing this, except maybe someone else can learn from my stupidity. Probably not, though, because people like me never listen anyway. My ex-boyfriend just got engaged to someone way better than me. And the worst part is, I'm the one who pushed him to become the man she gets to have now. I'm the idiot who said he'd never amount to anything and then watched him prove me wrong in the most painful way possible. His name is Marcus, male, 31. We dated for almost 4 years. I thought I knew everything about him. Turns out I didn't know jack. When we first got together, I was 24 and he was 25. I met him at some boring work party my friend dragged me to. Marcus was standing by himself near the snack table, eating those little sandwiches they always have at office parties. Looked lost and kind of awkward, but in a cute way. I went over and started talking to him. Marcus was funny, but not trying too hard funny, just natural. He went on and on about how he worked in IT for some company I'd never heard of. Nothing flashy, but he seemed smart about it. We talked for like 2 hours about random stuff. Movies we liked, places we wanted to travel, stupid things that happened to us in high school. Marcus asked for my number and I gave it to him. Not because I thought he was the love of my life or anything, just because he seemed nice and I was bored with the guys I'd been dating. Our first few dates were good. Really good, actually. Marcus picked decent restaurants, but nothing too expensive. Listened when I talked. Remembered things I told him. Made me laugh without being obnoxious about it. The sex was good, too. Not mind-blowing, but good. Marcus actually cared about making sure I enjoyed it, which was more than I could say for most guys I'd been with. For the first year, everything was pretty great. Marcus was sweet and reliable, did what he said he was going to do, showed up when he said he would, remembered my birthday and our anniversary and all that stuff, but then I started noticing things that bugged me. Little things at first, like his old Toyota that had dents in it, the small apartment with furniture from Target, those same 3 shirts he wore to work and didn't seem to care about fashion at all. My friends started making comments too, not mean ones, but little things. When we'd all go out to dinner, they'd notice that Marcus would look at the prices on the menu before ordering, or suggest we split appetizers instead of everyone getting their own. Sarah, who I worked with, had a boyfriend who was a lawyer. Drove a BMW and took her on vacations to places like Italy and Mexico. She'd show me pictures and I'd feel so jealous. Not just of the trips, but of having a boyfriend other people were impressed by. Because Marcus wasn't impressive. Just Marcus. Steady and boring and safe. I hated that so much. So I started making little digs at him. Nothing too harsh at first. Just comments about maybe he should ask for a raise or look into getting a better job. I'd point out expensive things in stores and say it would be nice to afford stuff like that. I even mentioned other couples we knew who seemed to be doing better financially. Marcus would just listen to me and say he was working on it, that he was trying to build his career slowly and do things the right way. He wanted us to be smarter with our money than flash it around and go into debt. Something that seemed so unreasonable to me. Nobody around me did that. That irritated me. I wanted him to be more ambitious, more aggressive about getting ahead and willing to take risks to give us a better life. The comments got meaner over time. I started saying things like I felt like I was dating a teenager because of the way he lived, that I was embarrassed to bring him around my coworkers because he didn't fit in with their crowd, and I sometimes wondered if I was wasting my time with someone who was never going to be successful. Marcus would get this hurt look on his face, but he wouldn't fight back. Just say he was doing his best and that he loved me. This made me even more frustrated. I wanted him to get mad and prove me wrong. Instead, he'd just take it and try harder. Anyways, a couple of months after this constant pushing from me, he started applying for new jobs. We bought some better clothes. Moved to a nicer apartment even though I knew he couldn't really afford it. He was trying so hard to make me happy, but it felt like too little too late. But still, I didn't stop. I continued to compare him to other guys constantly, just because I could. Guys at work who made more money. Guys my friends dated who seemed more successful. Even random guys we'd see when we were out. The worst part is I started flirting with other men right in front of him. Not anything too obvious, but enough that he'd notice. At parties, I'd spend more time talking to successful guys than to my own boyfriend. Laugh too loud at their jokes and ask them about their work in a way that made it clear I was impressed. Marcus would just watch, never made a scene or got jealous in an ugly way. He would just get quiet and withdrawn. Looking back, I can see I was hurting him, but at the time I told myself he deserved it for not stepping up. It's not like I was asking for a lot. I just wanted us to be better. I wanted to be like those power couples that were all over my Instagram feed. Things really went downhill after I got promoted at work. Suddenly I was making decent money and I felt like I had options. I started thinking about what kind of life I wanted, and Marcus didn't fit into it. I wanted someone who could match my ambition. Someone who looked good next to me at company events. Someone my friends would be jealous of instead of feeling sorry for me about. So I started being even more meaner to Marcus, criticizing everything about him. His clothes, car, apartment, job, friends, hobbies. Nothing he did was good enough anymore. When he'd try to plan dates, I'd complain that they were boring, or when he'd buy me gifts, I'd point out they were cheap. I told him flat out that I was disappointed in him. I expected more from him by now. According to me, he was just too lazy. Marcus tried to defend himself, but I shut him down every time. I told him actions mattered more than words, and his actions showed he was content being mediocre. The final straw came last year around Christmas. We were at my office holiday party, and my boss was there with her husband, who owned his own business. They were talking about their house in the mountains and their trip to Europe and all these expensive things they did. I was standing there feeling embarrassed about Marcus in his cheap suit and his awkward small talk. When someone asked him if he had ever been to Europe, I wanted to disappear. After we left the party, I exploded at him in the car, told him I was humiliated and I couldn't keep pretending I was happy with someone who had no drive or ambition. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that surprised me. He claimed that he was tired of me treating him like he wasn't good enough, that he worked hard and was a good person and deserved better than constant criticism. I laughed at him, actually laughed out loud. I mean, he was delulu if he thought he deserved better than me. I was the best thing that ever happened to him, and he was too stupid to appreciate it. Then I said the thing I regret most. I told him he could never do better than me. No woman with any self-respect would want someone so pathetic and unsuccessful. Marcus got this look on his face I'd never seen before. Not hurt or angry, just done. Said maybe I was right and maybe we should break up. I expected him to take it back, to apologize and beg me to stay. Instead, he just nodded and said he'd pack his stuff and be out by the weekend. That's when I realized he was serious. I panicked and tried to take it all back, but it was too late. He'd made up his mind. Marcus moved out 3 days later. He was calm and polite about the whole thing. Didn't yell or make accusations or try to hurt me back. Just left. At that time, I didn't think much of it all because I thought he'd come crawling back within a week. I knew he'd realize he'd made a mistake and that he needed me. I was so sure of myself, but Marcus didn't come back. Didn't even call. At first, I was fine with it. I figured I could finally find someone better. Someone who deserved me, so I started going on dates almost immediately. But the guys I met were either jerks who only wanted sex or losers who were even worse than Marcus. The successful guys I was attracted to weren't interested in anything serious with me. They'd take me out a few times and then disappear. Meanwhile, I started hearing things about Marcus through mutual friends. He'd gotten a new job, a much better job at a bigger company, making way more money than he'd ever made before. He even bought a house. A nice house in a good neighborhood. I told myself it was just lucky timing, that he'd probably been working toward that job while we were together and I deserved some credit for pushing him. But then I heard more things about how he was working out and looked really good, developed some new hobbies and was meeting new people. The guy had a whole glow up after leaving me. He seemed confident and happy in a way I'd never seen when we were together. 6 months after we broke up, I was walking out of Target when I spotted him across the parking lot, loading groceries into this brand new car. Not just new to him, but actually new, all shiny and expensive looking. Standing next to him was some woman I didn't recognize. She wasn't even that pretty if I'm being honest. Average height, brown hair, nothing special about her face. But she was dressed nice and she was laughing at something Marcus said, really laughing like he was the funniest person alive. I stood there behind some other cars watching them. Marcus looked incredible. Definitely been hitting the gym because his shoulders were broader and he just carried himself differently, more confident. The woman kept touching his arm while they talked, and he wasn't pulling away or acting awkward like he used to do with me in public. They finished loading the car, and Marcus opened her door for her, something he'd stopped doing for me after I complained it was old-fashioned and embarrassing. She smiled at him like he'd just done something amazing. I don't know what came over me, but I started walking toward them. I thought maybe I'd just casually say hi and see what happened. Just, test the waters. Maybe Marcus would remember what we had and realize he'd made a mistake. But as I got closer, Marcus looked up and saw me. His whole face changed. Not angry or hurt like I expected, just guarded. He said my name like he was trying to place where he knew me from. The woman looked between us, and I could tell she knew exactly who I was. Marcus must have told her about me. Probably painted me as some crazy ex-girlfriend. Which I am not, obviously. I tried to act casual and asked him about his new job and complimented his car. I even told him he looked good. The woman just stood there watching with this little smile on her face, like she was enjoying some private joke. Marcus was polite but distant. He answered my questions, but didn't ask any back. When I tried to make plans with him to hang out sometime, he just said he was pretty busy these days. That's when the woman spoke up. She said something about them having dinner plans and they needed to get going. She wasn't rude or anything, but she clearly wanted the conversation to end. Marcus nodded and said it was good to see me, but they really did have to run. Then he got in the car and they drove away. Just like that. He didn't even watch me in his rearview mirror. I stood there in the parking lot feeling like an idiot. The whole interaction had lasted maybe 3 minutes, and Marcus had treated me like a casual acquaintance. Someone he used to know, but wasn't particularly interested in anymore. I found out later the woman was named Jennifer. She was a nurse practitioner. She was smart and successful, but not in a showy way. She drove a sensible car and lived in a normal apartment, and seemed perfectly happy with both. But more importantly, she seemed to genuinely like Marcus. Not just tolerate him or settle for him. She actually enjoyed being with him. They started dating seriously pretty quickly. Within 6 months, they announced that they moved in together. And within a year, they were engaged. The engagement announcement showed up on social media, and I felt sick looking at it. Not just because Marcus was getting married, but because of the way they both looked. So happy. Jennifer wasn't trying to change Marcus or make him into someone else. She liked him exactly as he was. And because of that, he'd become this confident, successful version of himself that I'd never been able to bring out in him. All those years I spent criticizing him and telling him he wasn't good enough had actually been holding him back. My constant negativity had made him smaller and less sure of himself, and as soon as he got away from me, he started thriving. The worst part was seeing Jennifer's friends and family react to Marcus. They all seemed to genuinely like him. He fit into her world effortlessly in a way he'd never fit into mine, because she'd created space for him instead of making him feel like he had to earn his place. I started obsessing over their relationship. I was checking Jennifer's social media, constantly looking for signs of problems. But there weren't any. Just pictures of them looking happy together. They bought a house together. A really nice house that Marcus could apparently afford now with his new job. Got a dog. Went on vacations to places I'd always wanted to go, but Marcus had never been able to take me. Jennifer would post pictures of flowers Marcus brought her, or sweet notes he'd written, or thoughtful things he'd done. All the romantic gestures I'd criticized him for making when we were together, because they didn't involve expensive stuff. I realized he hadn't been unromantic or unambitious, just been beaten down by my constant criticism. But it was too late for me to benefit from any of it. My dating life was a complete disaster. Every relationship I tried ended the same way. Men would seem interested initially, but then get tired of my constant complaints. I'd nitpick everything they did just like I used to do with Marcus. The pattern was always identical. Meet someone new, find things wrong with them within weeks, point out their flaws until they got fed up and then make them leave. Nobody measured up to my standards, and it's not like they were really high. All I was asking was for the bare minimum. The truth hit me hard eventually. I was comparing every guy to this fantasy version of Marcus I'd built in my head, the successful, confident man he'd transformed into after dumping me. This person I'd never actually dated but somehow felt entitled to. 3 months ago, Marcus and Jennifer got married. I know because the pictures were everywhere on social media. It looked like a perfect wedding. Not huge or expensive, but beautiful and personal. Marcus looked happier than I'd ever seen him, surrounded by friends and family who all seemed to genuinely care about him. Jennifer looked radiant. Her whole family seemed to adore Marcus and treat him like he'd always been part of their lives. I spent the entire weekend looking at those pictures and feeling sick. Not just jealous, but genuinely nauseous, thinking about what I'd lost and what I'd thrown away. A week after their wedding, something inside me snapped. I sent Marcus this pathetic long text, telling him I'd realized my mistake, that we belonged together and I wanted another chance. The message rambled on about growth and change and learning to appreciate what we'd had. I apologized for hurting him and begged him to reconsider throwing away our history. Hours passed before he responded, with just one brutal line about being happy with Jennifer and hoping I'd find happiness too. That polite rejection broke something in me. He didn't react the way I wanted him to. He just shut the door in my face permanently. But instead of accepting it, I started spiraling into this twisted logic. The more I thought about it, the more convinced I became that I deserved credit for Marcus becoming successful. I was the one who pushed him to get a better job. My criticism motivated him to start working out and improving himself. My demands forced him to become more ambitious and confident. Without my pressure, he'd still be that boring guy with Target furniture driving a beat-up Toyota. Jennifer got to enjoy the finished product, but I did all the hard work. I was like a personal trainer who whipped Marcus into shape, then got fired right before he won the championship. She swooped in and got all the benefits of my effort. The unfairness ate at me constantly. I'd created the man Jennifer fell in love with. The successful, confident Marcus was my accomplishment, even if I couldn't put it on my resume. She was living my dream life with the upgraded version of my ex that I'd basically manufactured. My friends tried talking sense into me, but I wasn't hearing it. They'd say I was being delusional and needed to move on, but they didn't understand. They hadn't spent 4 years molding someone into their ideal partner, only to watch someone else reap the rewards. Update 2. Hey guys! I'm back to rant about my awful life once again. I've started doing something crazy, and I don't even know how it began. Now, I am not a full-blown stalker or anything, but sometimes I drive past Marcus's house just to torture myself. It's in this perfect neighborhood, with tree-lined streets and nice cars in every driveway. Marcus had never wanted anything like that when we were together. He was so satisfied with his crappy apartment and his modest lifestyle until I showed him what he was missing. I mean, one evening I even parked across the street and watched them through their front window. They were cooking dinner together, and Marcus was making Jennifer laugh about something. She kept bumping into him playfully while they worked, and he'd kiss her forehead or squeeze her hand. I sat there angry and muttering under my breath, "She's not even that pretty. What does she have that I don't have? Why does she get the good Marcus when I'm the one who made him good?" The bitterness is consuming me day by day, but I can't just stop feeding it every day. I wake up angry about the injustice of losing the man I'd perfected to someone who'd done nothing to earn him. Jennifer just showed up and got handed this amazing guy that I'd spent years creating. Marcus owed me for becoming the person he was. Without my pushing and criticism and refusal to accept less, he'd still be that unmotivated nobody I'd started dating. I'd given him the kick in the ass he needed to reach his potential, and this was the thanks I got. The worst part is knowing I'd never find someone as good as what he has become. I'd made Marcus too good for me and lost him in the process. But instead of learning from that mistake, I just got angrier about being cheated out of what was rightfully mine. Jennifer doesn't deserve him. She was just some random nurse who got lucky that I'd already done all the heavy lifting. I've also started fantasizing about ways to mess with their perfect little life. Nothing too crazy, but little things that would remind Marcus of what he owed me. Maybe send Jennifer some screenshots of old conversations that would make her question their relationship, or show up at their house pretending I had something important to tell Marcus about his family. Part of me knows these thoughts are insane, but another part feels justified. They are living off my investment without giving me any credit. So far, I haven't acted on any of these fantasies because deep down, I knew it would just make me look pathetic. Marcus had moved on completely, and nothing I did would change that. Jennifer wasn't going anywhere, and their relationship wasn't going to fall apart just because I wanted it to. So I'm stuck here thinking about the unfairness of it all, watching them build this perfect life together, while I'm alone with my bitterness and regret. Marcus proved he could do better than me, but I wish he hadn't. I wished I would have never said those words to him. Deep down, if I could redo that night, I would in a second. It's starting to bleed into everything else. I'll be at work and someone will mention their husband bringing them lunch, and instantly I'm thinking about Marcus bringing Jennifer flowers. I can't even watch TV without getting irritated. Every couple I see reminds me of what I should have had. I've stopped going to certain restaurants because I'm scared I'll see them there, looking perfect and untouchable. My patience with people is gone. I snap at coworkers, roll my eyes at strangers, and find reasons to avoid social events. I tell myself it's just because I'm tired, but the truth is, I don't want to be around anyone who might remind me of them. It's exhausting living with this much anger, but letting it go feels like forgiving him, and forgiving him feels like saying he was right to leave. The irony is killing me. I created my own replacement by pushing Marcus to become the kind of man I actually wanted. Then I lost him right before I could enjoy the results of all my hard work. Too bad I figured that out after it stopped mattering. Now I'm just another crazy ex-girlfriend watching from the sidelines while someone else enjoys the man I created.